Hello, everyone. Welcome to the With Fikayo podcast. If you are a returning listener, welcome back. And if you are new here, I am your host, Fikayo, and thank you so much for having me back in your ears. Okay, so where do we start? Well, I guess first of all, Happy New Year and welcome into 2026. Um, Obviously, with this being my first podcast of 2026, I'm trying to think of where people are, what people are currently listening to, and kind of the rhetoric that's going out right now. And obviously, it's the New Year's resolutions, the goals, the planning for the new year. And I obviously wanted to be able to contribute to that because I think I've learned a couple things and I wanted to be able to share, I guess, just some advice or some words on what I've learned. And this year or this podcast, I will be speaking about setting the tone for the year as opposed to the conventional goals. And I think that setting the tone for the year is more important than goals because I believe that that is literally what carries out the goals that you have. When you set a tone, it's like the music that's kind of in the background. So in this podcast, we're going to talk about all of those things. We're going to talk about the tones that I'll be setting for the year. I'll be asking you guys questions as well. And we're just going to think through this together. Okay? Are you ready? So I know that I haven't really heard this idea or rhetoric expressed before. So I'm going to start by explaining what tone is not before I explain what tone is. And tone is not the vibe or the aesthetic or the mood. Tone is the governance, it is the nuance, it is the posture, it's the leadership over self that you are taking into this new year or with whatever you're doing, really. And I believe that tone shows up when motivation fades, it shows up when plans change, and also when pressure increases. Tone is literally it's the invisible string that keeps you going. And I would say that goals point and tone governs. And I think that sometimes we have an understanding of where we're trying to go with our goals. We don't know how to get there. And it's the tone that gets you to where you're trying to go. It gets you to your goals. So it's very important that we understand how to make our life have a specific type of tone so that we're able to achieve the goals that we are setting for ourselves. So again, why tone over goals? Well, one, goals are situational while tone is constant. You can check off your goals. You can say, I did this, I did that, but that tone is the backbone. Another thing I wrote down here is life disrupts plans, but tone determines your response. If you have or you've set a tone of being grounded, no matter what life throws at you, you've established that positioning in life, that tone of being grounded. And then whatever comes at you, you're able to operate from that tone that you set to keep yourself consistent so that you can still get to that tone. So one thing that I've been learning is that how you move is just as important to understand where you are headed, because it's how you move that's going to get you to where you are headed. So that is why, again, we are talking about tone in this specific podcast. That's why it's so important. So in 2026, I have set for myself 3 tones. And if you've listened to the podcast back, you probably know them by now, but they are direction, depth, and discipline. And I'm sharing these with you guys to be able to encourage you to pick your own tones. But these 3 words are important for me and where I am in my life and why. Well, 1, direction. I feel like I've worked really hard in these last few years to where now I finally feel like I have an understanding of the direction I'm going. And interestingly enough, it's not just one direction that I'm going into. I'm going into several different ones, and I want to be intentional about my aims and where I'm going and what I'm planting and the seeds. This will help me replace drifting and reacting and scattered efforts into kind of ensuring that all of my intentions, all of my efforts are being placed in a place where I actually want to grow in. This helps me choose clarity over just constant motion. This gives me direction as discernment, me understanding again where I'm trying to go, so that anything else that's not in line with who I'm trying to be or where I'm trying to go is not a part of my life. This helps me be able to protect my focus, my energy, and my intentional yeses as well. Okay, so my next tone is depth. And this was important for me because I'm trying to replace just surface level progress or performative growth. I want to be really, really good at the things that I am doing. So this year, I am planning on choosing fewer things, but doing more work within the few that I'm doing. So I am choosing depth in relationships, in work, in self-awareness, and content creating. What this depth allows me to be able to do is to have a meaning, be able to keep integrity in what I want to do, and also be able to implement sustainability in my life as well. And the last is discipline. And this has been something that I have been intentionally growing into, especially as I've just been getting older. But I'm trying to reduce the resilience on motivation and have discipline become just a part of my life, not just a punishment. And this is discipline in a couple areas specifically, but working out, which is an obvious one, right? I feel like everyone's always trying to be better and more disciplined in working out. But aside from other things like communicating with my sisters, with my friends, making sure I set those times, and essentially also, if I tell myself I'm going to do something, doing what I tell myself I'm going to do, holding Fikayo to a specific standard and making sure that she reaches that standard every day. And in setting intentional tones for my life allows me to be intentional about the tones that I'm not allowing to be in my life anymore. Some of them being comparison, external timelines, noise disguised as opportunities, a pressure to explain or to prove myself, being places I don't want to be, being around people I don't want to be around. These are the things that I'm just not allowing in my life anymore. And I think that this is also very important, setting the tones for what you will allow, and also setting tones for what you do not want as well, and being very, very clear on that, and allowing both the things that you do want and the things that you don't want to be the backbone of, well, 2026. And while I'm here, well, I guess I'm thinking also just about the difference between standards over resolutions. And let me be careful, this podcast, and I am not anti-goals, right? But I am thinking about how leadership actually shows up in daily life. And I want you to understand, I guess, that resolutions are a statement of intent and standards are commitments to be better. So perhaps maybe we start, instead of giving ourselves goals, we start giving ourselves standards. And I can see how this can be groundbreaking for someone, honestly, because, well, to be frank, goals are something that you aim for. Goals live in the future, they depend on circumstances, and they can be postponed or adjusted or abandoned. But standards are literally how you decide to show up. They live in the today, they live in the present, and they apply every day, and they govern your decisions and not just only your outcomes. So you don't try to meet a standard, you operate from them. The fact of the matter is, leadership is not proven by what you say you want. It is proven by what you do every day, what you tolerate, and also what you repeat. So standards answer questions like, how do I consume my time? How do I treat myself when I fall short? What do I do under pressure? And what's my default under pressure? And this is why I think standards are more reliable than resolutions. They show up when motivation doesn't. So practically what this could look like is, you're not asking yourself, did I hit my goal today? You're asking yourself, did I live up to my standard? And let's say, for example, the goal was, I want to be more productive this year. The standard that you have set for yourself allows you to be able to say, I do not want to overcommit my time or ignore rest. So because of that, that guides your decisions every day, not just put something out there and says that you want to do it, you know? So yeah, I think I'm done, you guys. I guess my question to y'all is, what is your leading tone for the year? And also, if you have any, what standards are you putting out this year as well? I really, really hope and pray that 2026 is a fruitful year for all of us. I heard too many of my friends say that they didn't want 2025 to happen again, but they're the same ones who didn't want 2024 to happen again and 2023. So that means that we are fundamentally doing something wrong. Let's figure it out, because you guys, a party's a party, okay? A celebration is a celebration. I want to rejoice and I want to laugh and I want to be happy with all of us together. I want us to grow. So let's see if we can figure out this adulting thing together. Again, I only have the best for you in my heart. I only want you to do well, and I want you to be able to succeed. And hopefully, God willing, we're able to steward 2026 that way as well. All right, y'all. I'll see you guys later. Y'all know where to find me. Fikayo at 2 eyes on Instagram, and then with Fikayo on Instagram as well. So yeah. All right. All right. I will see y'all in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in the following and the subscribing and everything as well, right? Right. Bye-bye.